Love is love.
So now we're off to season 3.
What are those girls doing? Aloha from Hawaii.
Any weird noises in the background are our dogs.
If he was a person, he would have been high-fiving on the field.
Life, love, social issues, and everyday issues at the Girls Hour.
Authors.
It was like everything was thrown at us at once. We were brought to our knees, and it was like, okay, are we going to do this or are we not? And if we're going to do it, how are we going to do it?
Not Walter.
Nope.
Musician. When you're going through the hard times, you're struggling to keep everything you can afloat. And it's really hard to enjoy that. And we're still married.
In the
That's what Jen's trying to say. I couldn't get away with that in New York when I was working. One brown shoe, one black shoe. I would have been like devastated. I would have sent myself home.
Lesson learned in life. Never say never.
Say never.
The Girls Hour with Jen and Michele.
So put me on a jet plane and pack all my bags and no turning back. Grab a quick pair of cheap shades. I lose in the sand with booze in my head. If you need me, I'll be gone. Left my phone plugged in at home. Said I'm higher than...
Hi, and welcome to the Girls Hour with Jen and Michele.
I'm Jennifer Arima.
And I'm Michele Musso. Our show is about our life, community, interests, and passions. We share who we are and our world, talking about topics that interest us from our perspective. We feature a plethora of guests, highlighting artists, authors, organizations, causes, and events. So join us now here on the Girls Hour as we bring our world to yours.
Well, I just have to say, I picked this song, although my wife said, oh, that song. But then she listened to it and she's like, oh, I love that song. That was the Common Kings, Lost in Paradise. It is such a good song. Such a good song. I put it on our Facebook all the time, but you have to download it. It's a really good song. And it's what's needed for our listeners in really cold weather that want to just get lost in paradise. He changes his ticket to a one-way. He leaves his phone at home. He packs up a bag and he goes. Oh, and he buys a cheap pair of sunglasses. So if he loses them in the sand, he doesn't care.
You haven't heard that song ever before.
No,
that's the first time she's ever listened to it.
When I go to work every morning at like 2:30, that's my theme song.
That's great. Well, speaking of warmth and weather, if you hear any noise in the background, that's our fans, because we have now migrated to a warmer climate.
Yes.
And our dogs are now suffering for it. So you hear them like, yeah. It's not us, it's them.
Yes. We brought our Jersey boys to Maui, and for as much as they love it somewhere between 6 o'clock at night and 5 in the morning when the sun sets.
And, you know, we've had good weather. For the most part, it hasn't been hot at all. Like, I say hot, like summer hot at all here.
No.
It's still in the springtime, but now we've hit March and it's starting to get hot.
That's the other day I worked with a guy, he's a local guy, born and raised in Hawaii, and we're standing outside and he looks up at the mountains and he goes, oh, the Kona winds are here. And I felt like that movie, the Vacation? No, Holiday.
Holiday, yeah.
When Jack Black knocks on the door and expects to see one person, and it's the girl from...
he expects to see a Cameron Diaz.
Yes, and he sees
the other actress. What's her name?
I love her.
Oh, my God, she's fantastic.
She was Titanic.
Oh, we can't remember her name.
Okay, well, we will
Google her right now.
we will Google that. But anyway, he starts telling her about Santa Ana winds, and she's like, what is that? And that's how I was the other day when he's like, oh, the Kona winds are here, which really Kona wind means there is no wind. The trees aren't moving, nothing. It's like still. I feel if you put something in the area, it would just stay there because it's so hot. What's her name?
Kate Winslet.
There we go.
Thanks to Google. Hashtag Google is amazing.
And I know my wife is listening to everything I said while she was Googling that.
Of course not. I turn into a man when those things happen, and I go and do one thing at one time.
Yeah, she has the innate ability to, when I talk,
I
totally know now, thank God. I know that look. And what she'll do is what a typical male will do, but apparently it's
women can do it
gender
too.
Friendly.
Mm-hmm.
She'll listen to what I'm saying, you know, or I'm talking to her, and she'll hear like 2 or 3 key words and then put that together. And that's like the dead giveaway, because I'm like, you didn't hear what I said, did you? You know, like, I don't know, tomorrow night, let's make dinner here. Let's have dinner here for the family, and I'll cook.
I heard tomorrow night, I heard dinner and she'll cook. It's good enough for me. Had nothing to do with me at all. I was like, that's great.
Then tomorrow
sounds fantastic.
when she comes home and dinner's,
There's 9
I'm
people
making
in the
dinner,
house.
and she goes, like in her mind, she must go, oh, she must have meant tonight. Dinner was tonight. I missed that part. Okay. Anyway, this is our second episode in season 3, and we got great feedback on our first one. It was so nice to be back. We had such a good time doing our show last week. We have our own little studio here in our new apartment, and we're working on it. Well, you're working on it.
Right.
It's not our basement anymore. It's now in our apartment in Maui. And I guess the only thing that we could really complain about is it being hot and the fan noise in the background.
The fan noise being on right now.
But it beats the hell out of hearing, like the snow plows up in last time.
The snow plows.
Not probably a good way to gain listeners who live on the East Coast.
Well, at least everyone's indoors.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true. They'll be listening to it.
No, we had a great response with our first, and it did feel, honestly, it felt so good to be back, and then have everyone go, "Oh my gosh, you guys are back!" And then the tweets follow, and Facebook and everything, social media goes crazy, and it's like, wow, that feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good. It does feel good.
We were on hiatus way too long. We love it so much.
There's a saying here in Hawaii, and anybody who's ever visited would know this. They say, talk story. So if you're going to go by somebody's house, or, you run into a friend and they'll say, do you want to grab a beer and talk story? It's just their way of saying, like, catch up. Like the way we would say, like, hey, come on over. Let's catch
coffee
up.
Talk.
Or, yeah. Yeah. And it's a very common phrase here. You talk story. People say, what'd you do last night? Oh, I went to my auntie's house. We talk story, whatever. So I'm teaching Michele these words so that when she's out and about and she hears them, she can be, cool.
What was the one that pow?
Pow.
I heard
pow
pow
means done.
And I was like,
finished.
Oh, I know what that means. You're done.
She texted me. She's like, oh, I'm so glad you told me what pow means, because I knew that. Pow.
People were using that.
Pow
Hana
means done with work.
What the heck is pow? There's a Pow Hana beer.
Yeah.
Now that makes a lot of sense. There's a Pow Hana Pilsner. People are like, I'll have the Pow Hana. And I didn't know that means I'm done with work. Pilsner.
See, it doesn't sound so catchy.
That made me feel so good that I knew that. I was like, oh my God, I'm done. I'll have the, and I'm so geeky and a nerd sometimes. I'll be like, I'll have the I'm done with work Pilsner, please. One of those.
Fortunately, she orders that when I'm not sitting next to her. What was another word? This reminds me when we started our show in Australia. Remember, we had them send us some words, so we knew.
Oh, when we were on Joy 94.9 in Australia, and you can still find our podcast there. We'll be podcasting with them.
That's
right.
Another word.
There's so many different words, Australian words that mean something different. And Karen Pike was good with us with that. Jeannie was as well,
was too,
helping us out. We'd say one thing here in the States, and they say something else. It's the same word, and we go, "Oh my God, that doesn't mean the same thing."
Right.
And I can't remember off the top of my head. We're gonna have to refresh our memory.
No, because now we're into our Hawaii words.
That's right.
Hi, this is singer-songwriter Jody Quine, and you are listening to the Girls Hour podcast.
So we're going
Words around the world.
We're going to talk story a little bit about life and what's going on. So
it's very easy to run into people that you have come from all different walks of life, all around the world, and everyone seems to meet here. And for instance, I ran into two girls that I had met at a restaurant the other night, and one was from England and one was from Alabama. And the girl from England, who really is from the United States, from New Jersey.
She was born in Jersey, right?
She was born in Jersey, so we were able to coffee talk, so to speak.
You talk
but
story.
She had an English accent. She's like, when I moved to England, I lost my, I was young.
She was little, right?
She was little, but she said she started talking the way we talk, very Americanized, and it was so funny. It's like how Kate Winslet could do the acting and change it. It's amazing. So we were all sitting out, they were sitting at the restaurant, and we were talking. And then the next day, we literally bumped into them at a festival in downtown.
Downtown, we were in Lahaina.
Lahaina. And literally actually bumped into each other. And I went to say, oh, I'm so sorry. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I know you. She's like, I know you too. And it was so strange. And here they're from all different places. And they became friends, the two women.
Well, these two were working on Oahu, right? On a farm.
They were living on a farm.
Yeah. It's so cool. And now they're traveling the islands, right? And then they're going to travel the States too. But we were at a fair, and there were local authors, which is one of the reasons why we went down there, to kind of give out our cards and talk to people. And you were right next to me, and then all of a sudden I heard you yell and big hugs, and I was
people. She's like, oh, there goes my wife again, hugging the community. But it was interesting too, is because the author I was speaking with she has the same alma mater as I do. We both went to the University of Central Florida.
Nice.
Once a night, always a night. And she's went to the same journalism program as I did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That was
I didn't know that either. When I got her book and I looked at the back of it, I was like, oh my God, we went to the same university.
Very nice.
Isn't that funny?
That is
I think in 2 different, decades.
I
But
was going to say.
still.
There was a good 30-year gap there.
There was probably more students there when I went than when she went, because it's a really big school now. But I thought that was really cool. So it's amazing how your life path crosses with other people, and you can make that connection with somebody, anyone. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think that. I mean, here, this author, and I could have went on a big conversation with her probably about the university that we went to. How was it when she was there versus when I was there? And so it's just very interesting. You find people. For me, it's fun because I get to talk story.
There it is.
Wow. I get to talk story. I get to find out about other people's lives, who they are, what makes them who they are, why they're here. And I share my story, and it's all about communication, and you kind of become friends. What stinks is a lot of times they're only here for 3 weeks and once a year, but they cycle. It's like they're cycling through, and so I make another set of friends. You never get bored, that's for sure.
No.
If you get tired of somebody, you just say, go back home, and then I'll see you next year.
When is your flight?
But no, I for me, it's been interesting because I get to meet a variety of different people, and everyone's been so nice.
Yeah. Last week we took a day trip, Michelle and I, and last Sunday we went up to a town called Makawao, and it's
don't ask me to say that.
it's a cowboy town. Back in the day, 100 years ago, it was rural
in
cowboys.
Hawaii, folks. Yeah. Just want you to know.
Well, because it's all farms up there. It's all it's where our dairy farms and our meat farms and produce. It's huge up there. So the town used to be the cowboy town, and there was like a local bar and a local grocery store. Actually, when we were there, I mean, the town's probably maybe one city block long. It's very small.
It's cute,
but it has all these quaint little shops, and outside a couple of the stores have the railing that you would tie your horse up to. They've kept some of them, and that's really cool. But we go into this coffee shop, and we were actually waiting for a restaurant to open, so we figured we'd go in and kill some time. And the place was called Sip Me.
Sip Me.
Yeah. And my wife, in her infamous way of ordering things, can't decide what she wants. And that's always fun. So I always just try to catch
I know what I want.
Well,
I just try to include her, and that throws me all off because I should never do that.
Really
I should just
nice
order
save.
for me.
No matter what I say, she has the ability to edit this out. So she's the one
who... pod your mic down, sweetheart.
If she orders first in a restaurant, I try to catch the server's eye and just be like, sorry. Like wink, like I got, like I'll take care of you later, because she's one of those people that, I want this and this, but I don't want that. And then I want this, and I know that's not even on the menu, but I want it anyway. So.
Wow.
Well,
tell everyone how you really feel.
It's true, but it's endearing. And
remember
I love you
when we shut this off, you still have to live with me.
I'm going to the pool. So anyway, so she can't decide what she wants. So anyway, long story short, I tell her, she sits down, and I say to this very nice girl behind the counter, I said, I don't know, because the menu, you go into a new coffee shop, there's like there's a new name for everything. It's ultimately the same thing.
Yeah, I had no idea what to order. They couldn't focus. But you did a really good job, though.
Well, I said, what she likes, whatever. So the woman came up. Her name was Lexi, and she came up with this drink, and she brought it over. We actually posted it on our Facebook and Instagram. The drink was great. But we got to talking. We gave them our cards, whatever. We're getting ready to leave. We said, hey, we're going to give a shout out to you on our show. And, you guys were great. You made our afternoon. And then they started laughing, and we were like, what? And they thought that we said our show was The Girls Shower.
we talk on a podcast called The Girls Shower. How do you think that sounded? I blushed, and I never blush, and I was blushing. We were hysterical, laughing the whole. There was an elderly woman sitting in the corner with her laptop, and she even was laughing. I think she was part of our community, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
LGBT, and she was really, really cool. But she was laughing too because she heard it too, and her head went up. We're on a podcast called The Girls Shower.
That's the after hours podcast.
It's after 9 o'clock. The lights go low. The stripper poles come out.
I'm just so glad we were there when they said it, because if we had left and they were like talking among them, like talking story among themselves, we would have never gotten that story. So it was cute. But speaking of podcasts and new podcasts, I have to do a huge shout out to my wife, my talented wife, who I believe works miracles